Mandy, can you say something? We're good? View or camera control? Speaker focus? Auto framing manual multi-stream. Okay, anything else? Yep.
So we already did this. If she wants to do it again,
Oh, you're calling me. You in a public meeting? Public
she already
meeting?
did. We already did. We already went through this.
But the camera wasn't on, so you have to do everything all over again.
Okay.
Said it was taping.
All right.
Is it taping
Anything
now?
else?
I see us in there.
Okay. All right. We'll do it all over again. All right. Thanks. Bye. Right. Yes, certainly.
Okay, welcome again to the Community Development Public Hearing, October 16th, 2023. We will open the meeting. It is 6:13 right now, and we are underway. Amanda will take over with the introduction.
This citizen participation public hearing is being held to solicit comments on citizens' thoughts of how the city should consider using the 2024 Community Development Block Grant dollars. As a condition of receiving Community Development Block Grant funds, the city must engage stakeholders and the public regarding the community's needs. The purpose of the annual block grant funding is to develop viable urban communities by providing decent housing and a suitable living environment, and also by assisting in expanding economic opportunities, principally for low and moderate income persons. As a grantee, the city reports the results of their citizen participation and consultation efforts in their multi-year consolidated plans and annual action plans. Over the next several months, the city will be forming a new 5-year consolidated plan, an analysis to impediments to fair housing, a language access plan, and a Section 3 plan. During this time, we will be holding additional public hearings, informational sessions, and workshops. We will also be holding 3 informational sessions where anyone can attend to ask questions and gather further information if they are interested in applying for the 2024 fiscal year. Those sessions will be held on October 19th, 2023 at 6 p.m., October 31st, 2023 at noon, and November 16th, 2023 at 6 p.m. A 30-day public comment period will begin tomorrow morning. All comments can be sent to either myself, Amanda Bruck, Director of Community Development, at abruck@kingston-ny.gov, or Amy Peterson, Administrative Assistant, at apeterson@kingston-ny.gov. At this time, we will open the floor for anyone who would like to speak on how the CDBG funding should be used. We ask that everyone only speak a few minutes, as this public hearing will be followed by the regular Community Development Advisory Board meeting. Thank you.
Hey, nice intro.
Thanks. Sounded just like the first one. Unless Lisa has anybody that's wanting to speak. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes, I
A
guess.
couple minutes, right?
Nope, there's nobody logged in on my end.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we can't start early.
What happens? As a chair.
We'll start with introductions.
What?
We'll start with introductions. That'll take maybe 15 minutes. 6:15, the meeting starts at 6:30.
Oh, 6:30.
Is meeting.
You were going to say 7 o'clock.
No.
Oh, God.
That's another thing I want to ask you about.
Okay. Why don't we go around the room? We
Well,
have,
do we want to close the public?
We have
hearing
some-
since he's not really here?
He's gotta wait a few minutes.
All right, we'll wait.
oh yeah, we're still in this. Jumping the gun here.
I mean, I think just a couple minutes because we've already been here
It's at 6.
15 minutes. We started here.
Are we doing introductions or no?
We're going to wait till a public hearing portion closes, and then we'll do the introductions.
You just have to have a public hearing first.
All right, well, I can say something and introduce myself.
Well, this is a public comment period right now. We're hoping somebody speaks up about how, any ideas of how to use the proposed funds, the CDBG funds. And then when we close the public hearing and start, we can do the introductions then.
Yeah.
We have to close the public hearing portion first.
Gotcha. Can I say something about the public hearing portion?
Yes, absolutely.
So I'll make a contribution. Do I need to introduce myself? I'm not sure how I do.
The what?
He wants to know.
Should I introduce myself?
Yeah.
Yeah,
How's everybody doing?
we're doing good.
Gotcha, Jan, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha, my apologies, because I always introduce myself, but I thought that I'm new to this. As I come into the space and get more acclimated moving into the future, I'll understand the process. My name is Anthony Daniels. I'm the executive director of the A.J. Williams Myers African Roots Center over in the Pocahontas area. I'm also a faculty member in the Department of Black Studies over at SUNY New Paltz. I was coming today because I received an email about this grant, that was a block grant that was coming up. I just happened to see it today. I'm not even sure if it came today. I just saw it today. Right? I've been real busy and up in Rochester, all kinds of stuff. That being said, I do think that a way, like again, so I'm just trying to orient myself, but what might be targeted as it relates to these particular funds is impacting the gentrification that is occurring in our communities in different ways in which that displaces people that have been here for generations. Right? And this is not anything unique to the Kingston area, right? But in how we do that, I don't know. Like I really need to sit back and reflect on this a little bit more, right? But as we talk about this, I mean, it causes homelessness in a variety of different ways. And a lot of times when these individuals that get displaced from out of their homes, we're talking about groups of individuals that don't necessarily have the same skill set and opportunities that others may have. So how can we use these funds to not only help those individuals possibly stay in their homes, but then also help them to develop skill sets, get access to better jobs, and just ways of engaging the health and well-being of our community in a wider sense. So, I mean, I think that centering on gentrification and its impact on our community is something that I would say should be a focus, if not the only focus, right, but a focus as it relates to this particular grant. I don't want to talk too much because I take up space a lot. But also with me coming in and I really wasn't sure what was going on, I'll be transparent about that, right? Not unprepared is just life. And I do think that is something important that I see just not only in the Pocahontas area, right? Because I'm over there and a lot of people that have been there for generations. I'm talking about 5 and 6 generations. A couple of them are still there, but they say it is really accelerated since the pandemic.
And what is accelerated?
What is the displacement of those communities, those peoples that have been there for several generations, right? Them getting displaced. And it can be racialized just in terms of Black people that were previously there and that are not there now, but also the way in which race and class intersect in addition to those individuals that have been there for generations, right? I'm not talking about 1 or 2. I've talked to a family, they said my family has been here for 5 and 6 generations. I'm a particularly engaging and extroverted person, so when I'm there, I was just appointed on September 1st, right? So when I'm there, I'm out and I'm speaking with people in the community, I'm seeing new people that are coming in, I'm having all of these kinds of conversations in a wide range of individuals. And in addition to new folk coming around, I'm just walking through the neighborhood and I ask, well, are you looking to buy, right? It's true, like, I'm getting used to the Pukaki area, like getting used to it now, but just casually walking, like, so we had those conversations, and we have engaged conversations with individuals, family members, just even over the last 2 weeks, 2 different families, one from Boston, the other from New York City, just walking and really looking at the city, just looking to move into that area and understanding the significance of gentrification. But remember, it's not always an easy thing. I'm not saying it's an easy fix. I know it's not an easy fix. But a lot of times those individuals that don't necessarily have the support that others do are always asked to get things done. So is there a way in which we can find tools to invest in those communities that already exist there so they don't have to move out? And it looks like, I don't know. Huge tax breaks. I'm throwing stuff out there I shouldn't even be talking about right now because I don't know. But can we do something about it? And I'll stop there.
All right, good. Thanks for your comments.
Yeah, that's good. Very good. All pretty valid.
Gotcha.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, you'll have to close out the.
You have to close that one.
Right?
You have to close
We're
that.
right?
Yeah, okay, right?
Okay.
We got a comment.
You had a comment?
We got a comment?
You saw that? You saw that?
Comment.
There you go.
Okay, and with that, I guess we will wrap up the public hearing for tonight. And we will be moving shortly into our monthly community development meeting. We are adjourned.
So now we do the introductions, right? Yeah. All right, you want to start? You want to start?
Yeah, why don't you start?
All right, you first.
Yours would be easier.
You're up.
So my name is Mandy Grubb. I've been with the city for going in my 19th year. I've been with community development for 17 of those years, mostly in the role of financial person. But in 2020, I took over as the executive director, or as a director. Sorry, executive director is the other position I hold. Pretty much it in a nutshell. Moving along.
And spare time, I like to. Spare time.
And my name is Sarah Pasty, and this is my first meeting, so just like you, Anthony, I am like totally new to this process. And I was appointed to serve as the Ward 1 Alderwoman in August. And I'm also running in the general election unopposed, so presumably starting in January, I'll be Ward 1 representative for another 2 years. And so I'm just starting to attend committee meetings, and I was asked to be on this committee, and I accepted. And so here I am, and I'm learning like you are. And I used to work at SUNY New Paltz.
We miss you.
And thank you for your comment. That was a good comment.
Yes.
I'm Jen Bloom. I was a longtime City of Kingston person, lived just a couple streets down, used to work at City Hall in various capacities, and moved to Esopus, moved back a couple years ago, and I just felt like it was time to do something in the community. Because I always feel like there's some important things to do. But I have a really, really strong opinions because moving back into the city of Kingston was almost a tragedy. I mean, it was very difficult for me. I was turned down. I'm like a middle management person in county government, and I didn't make enough money to live in some of our apartment complexes here because they wanted to have 4 times the income for rent. which would be approximately $8,500 a month, which I don't make. I'd love to, but I don't. So it was really difficult. I ended up moving into a ramshackle house that a friend inherited. It was and remains kind of a dump, but she just turned around and sold it for $479,000. If anybody remembers my 302 Washington Avenue. So I mean, the housing market is crazy. When I moved to Esopus, we sold our house for $165,000. They resold it like
In
a
the
year.
Hoffman Street house?
The Hoffman Street, it was resold for $390,000.
Oh, how many years later?
Like 4.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And on my street, Hoffman Street, I mean, you want to talk about longtime families. I mean, people who lived there, generational housing. I mean, 3 generations all living in one house had to leave because, and we never knew that they didn't own the house, but they were renting. And this happened to a number of people that I was close to in Kingston, where they were renting and their rent went up just outrageous, $1,700 to, $2,800. That's what the terms are. If you don't like it, move out. And so there's a lot of that happening. I mean, I hope it's slowed down a little bit. But it's a really, really hard time for working class people for housing. If you're in a house, don't go anywhere. Keep it. I'm lucky I have an apartment now. It's not a great apartment. It's not really big enough to accommodate both me and my son. It's really tiny, but that's what I have, and that's what I can afford.
Yeah, we talk frequently about selling our house here, because it's just my wife and I, but the conversation always gets to,
Where are you gonna
and
move?
where are we gonna go?
Because I would like to sell my house, and my husband says the same thing. Where are we gonna go?
Well, we got a gigantic house with just the 2 of us, and there's no need, but we struggle to figure out where we're gonna go, so we stay in our house, which is all right, because we love it. So,
It's beautiful.
it's all right.
Yes, very nice.
And again, Anthony Dandridge, Sioux Falls. Just a little bit about me. I'm born and raised in Philadelphia. Found my way on up here. Love it. I love it. All right. Been here. I'm going into my 6th year at the university and just newly appointed executive director over here at the A.J. Williams Myers African Root Center. And Jen, I would also like to say I really appreciate you just being vulnerable right now. I appreciate you sharing your story.
I'm Mohammed Shubair. I'm living in Kingston. So I graduated this year from SUNY Canton, North Country, with my bachelor. And right now I'm working for the New York State DOT as an engineer trainee. I just started a few months back. And also I'm working on my master's degree online, engineering management from SUNY Buffalo.
Nice. Nice. Welcome.
And this is my first meeting.
First project.
Yeah, right now I'm working on the project Route 28, like at Washington Avenue. As soon you pass, there is a paving, and they're making like $3 to $3.5 million project. And last summer I did internship, Bath Street Bridge, between Gipsy, and yeah, I worked there as an intern last year too. Yeah, but now I'm full time.
Congratulations.
Good, congratulations.
Do you use GIS?
ArcGIS, you mean?
Yeah.
I use in college that software, but for the state, no, it's more, for the state it's like more, we need to follow the rules, laws, regulations.
Okay.
We follow, we hire consultants, they do, and the contractors, they do most of the work for us.
Got it.
Yeah, so we just do as a management, like all the paperwork and the money flow, we take care of that.
Got it.
As a state.
I'm Amy Pearson, and I work for Mandy for the Office of Community Development. I started with the city in 2012 and came to Community Development 2016. And I'm a decades-old resident of the city of Kingston.
And proud of it.
Absolutely, it's one of Kingston. Sometimes, except for when it's raining.
That's it?
What else do you want?
I don't know. Well, you must have some gems for us.
They'll emerge in due time.
Okay, I'm Steve Shabbat. I'm the chairman of this committee. I'm on the Common Council. I am running for my life here.
You don't have an
I have served 5 terms already. I will be serving my 6th, as long as I vote for myself. And my ward is downtown Kingston, Pawtucket being part of it.
Okay.
And I grew up down that way. I'm sure some of you have heard this story many, many times. I've lived in downtown Kingston my entire life, other than 2 years where I lived in Catskill. And I love it here. We've seen some big changes here. Talking about the neighborhoods changing. My wife and I are the only Kingstonians left on our block. All New Yorkers, but they're nice folks. I really don't have any problem with any of them. They seem to enjoy being here, which I really like, because some of my friends say the worst things about Kingston. So it's kind of nice to hear people say nice things about our city. I love it here. I love being here. I have a good time here. I enjoy meeting everybody. Some of us have some long-term connections. Actually, I graduated from SUNY New Paltz.
So did I.
Okay, all right.
I'm not even gonna say my year, but we'll let it go at that. I've known Jen since my very first campaign here in town, a long time ago. And it's been nice I've met some really nice people while serving. It's been a good experience. I really enjoy it.
And you do a lot for Parks and Recreation too.
You what?
You've done a lot for Parks and Recreation in the city as well.
Actually, yeah, I've been involved with Parks and Recreation actually since the mid-70s. I started volunteering, coaching, and then I segged into the Recreation Commission for 20 years. So, yeah, I've been a willing volunteer in the city for, decades. But I enjoy it. It's been very rewarding, especially working with the kids part, going down, helping out with the parties downtown, and it's a lot of fun. I encourage everybody to do it. I only started out coaching just because they needed a coach, and but I had such a good time. I loved it, and I went from City League here. I also did CYO at the same time and some other leagues. Yeah, it's been in Little League. I did it all, and it's just so much fun and so rewarding when you see the kids now. They get coached. Actually, I work with some of the kids that coach, and actually, I coached the mayor in Little League. He was one of my ball players for 4 years. So yeah, Kingston is kind of close knit. Everybody seems to know everybody, and it's really
I bet you have some gems then too.
The what?
I bet you have some gems.
I do have
too.
a lot of gems. But the camera's
Yeah,
on, so
we'll have to
we
get into
better not get into that. No, I've had a good time here. It's been a very eventful life. I'm very happy here. So anyway, that's it. I think we got everybody here, so
So I guess we can.
I guess we can segue right into the meeting. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:36. And again, I'm gonna let Mandy
Let me
take
get,
over, or you.
well, me and Ken actually distribute and
So this year, we will be starting a new 5-year consolidated plan. And we've already put the RFP out and we've hired a consultant to help us with it. We have the 5-year town plan, we have the annual action plan, we have the language access plan, and we have a section 3 plan. All of which have to be done before June 1st of 2024.
Okay.
So, in addition to all the
first, you said?
they plan on having it in my copy of minutes by May 31st. So in addition to all of our meetings, at some point, you will all be involved in some sessions and meetings with the consultants and the people that are working with them. They'll hold public informational meetings, they'll hold another public hearing, they'll hold workshops. They're very interested in hearing from people about what they feel, in addition to what we think, what they feel should be the city's outlook for the next 5 years. So that the council will weigh in on it, the mayor will weigh in on it, the public will weigh in on it. So when they do contact you, if it's not in a setting like this, they want to talk one-on-one, and just ask that you give them a few minutes to hear what your thoughts are, to answer any questions that they have. I only just got into contact with them. I had my first meeting with them last week. I'm going to be having bi-weekly meetings with them. And as we go along, I will keep everybody posted up to date on what's going on and what we need to do. But in the meantime, because it took a little longer to get the funding in place in order to hire them, I went ahead so that we could have the public hearing and we start our process. But it will be incorporated in what they're doing, because for fiscal year 24, that's actually the first year of the 5-year contract.
Oh, okay.
So they'll make it so that it'll mesh us together, but we need to continue with our process so that we can, get our ducks in a row, if you will, in time. So the applications already went out to everybody. They were online. Public notice went out. Amy sent out an email to God knows how many people.
75.
There you go. Big email list there. A lot of people will reply, a lot of people won't. The idea, for those who don't know about the CDBG program, it's supposed to be seed money for new programs or programs that have expanded significantly. So if you came to us last year and you said you had 20 people, coming to us this year and saying you have 21 is not a significant expansion. Say you have 50 is a significant expansion, unless you come and you say, I have a new program. And we have only been funding programs to subrecipients. The city itself uses the bulk of the funding for infrastructure, whether it's the sewers or parks. Last year, we did a substantial amendment. This year, we did a substantial amendment. For those who did not spend their money, we reallocated the funding to the sewers project because instead of the city bonding.
Okay.
We do find occasionally there are people who come and they apply, but they are unable to actually do their programming. And if they don't make time on this, we don't make time on this. And we've missed time on this 2 years in a row, and we're heading for 3. So when we think about where the money needs to be spent, it really needs to be spent on activities that can get the money out the door. Because the fiscal year is July 1st through June 30th. So by the time June 30th comes around, everybody is supposed to have already spent their money.
And this is June 30th of 2024.
So the new fiscal year is going to start July 1st of 2024.
Got it.
It's going to go through June 30th of 2025.
Okay.
Every year when we get the applications, Amy makes sure that all of the applications are completed in full, and if they're not, she gives them an opportunity to make it right, and if they don't, their application never gets to see it. But that's because part of your application is making sure that you have everything in order. And they have significant time for that, and we make it a point to let everybody know if you have questions, call us, come and see us. We want to help you. We want to help you get money. But if you're not willing to do the work too, then it's kind of a moot point. Amy is, and I'm very affectionate about this when I say that, she's not a little people. So, and she is.
too long.
I do. When somebody's not in compliance, I send her after them. And she's really good about either she either leaves teeth marks or she doesn't, and she comes back to what we need, or we've had, or we've had to pull people swimming just because, like I said, if they're not in compliance, we're not in compliance, if they're not timely, we're not timely.
Right.
She puts these, and if you're going through these, she works on these spreadsheets every year. After you guys all get the applications, after she copies them and sends them out to you, you'll review them. You'll be sent the matrix codes, you'll be sent, the national objectives. If they don't qualify, actually what happens is if we see that they're not gonna qualify, we let them know that it's not gonna qualify, but you're also not gonna get the application because it just doesn't make sense to look at something that's never gonna be able to get funded, because if we try to slip that through and HUD comes back and says, that's not gonna fly, then we have to kind of start over again.
And that money is not, I'm sorry.
Fine, fine. So, after you guys sit down and you discuss who you think should have funding or who shouldn't have funding or how much they should have or what they shouldn't have, those recommendations go to the mayor. At the end of the day, the mayor makes the final decision, but he takes, all of your, recommendations into consideration. And, then I write the comp plan, or the action plan rather, and that gets submitted to HUD for them to review. It takes upwards of 90 days, depending on how quickly they move. And then if they don't have any problems with it, we get notification that they're ready to enter into contract with us. And then we can enter into an agreement with subrecipients. They can't spend money ahead of time or they're not going to be reimbursed. We also make it a point to tell everybody that if you don't have the money to run your program until the reimbursement process happens, then you probably shouldn't apply. We've had people who have gone via bank loans. You shouldn't be getting a bank loan to run your program. I mean, you just shouldn't. So, because you have to have skin in the game. I mean, you can't just.
And is that a requirement of the grant that there be matching funds from the organization?
Well, there's
Sorry.
yeah, it's in here about what they need to do, what they need to provide us. They need to provide us with documentation or information on any other grants they receive or any other funding, so we can see what they have to work with.
Right.
Because I mean, we've had, and I think Jen was here during this. When the government has their freeze, we don't have money, so we can't reimburse you. And we had a year where it was a government shutdown, and we were like, uh-oh, this might be a problem. So, you know, we make people have instead of that too, where if the money's not flowing freely from up above, we don't have anything to give you. And the city is not about to write a check and wait for us to get money. So if they don't have the funding to run the program to begin with, we tell them don't bother, because you know, it could be, and a lot of times we start this process in October and we might not know until April or May how much money we're going to get. So when we do this, it's usually a guesstimate. We've been pretty good. There's been a few years where we've had a little bit more money. So then, you know, we'll say if the money goes up, then everybody will get an equal amount. You know, providing we don't go over the 15%, because public services can only have 15% of whatever the allocation is.
Got it.
Those are HUD regulations. The most that we can keep for administration and planning is 20%, and it goes straight to Mr. Toohey to cover salary and personnel expenses.
Mindy, how are we doing on the housing projections from the last 5-year plan? I'm just like looking at where the
Yeah,
money.
we don't do housing anymore. So, because we have a lot of reasons. So we've been through, since you were here, we've had 5 more housing specialists. And HUD has even said to us, it's a really bad idea because the amount of time that you need to have put into that, it doesn't work out. And then trying to keep up on the contractors.
Right.
And then, you know, there's that time frame. So the mayor had decided to do first time homebuyer program. So we do that through RUPPRO.
Okay.
So we gave them $517,500. We're still waiting for them to get some people to use it. An individual can get upwards of $50,000 towards closing, principal down payment. Great. But I guess the problem there is, you might get qualified through RUPCO, through their program, and you and somebody else go and look at a house, but that person can put more cash down than you can. They go with that person because it's gonna take you longer to go back to the bank and get all of your stuff together. So I
I'm
think
well
that's
aware
why.
of that. Like, the market right now is like every other house is.
Oh, and I
preferring
didn't
cash
just meant like
offers.
in general, that if people are, I've been trying to. I don't have a house anymore.
Yeah,
It's like, I live here my whole life,
yeah,
but you just,
yeah.
it's tough. But, yeah, so Amy, when she gets all this stuff together, puts the spreadsheet together, hands it back to you guys, we sit and look at it, you make your recommendations, it goes to the mayor. But anytime you have a question, once you get these applications, there will be a time when Amy says, if you have questions, let us know, and we want to know this before the meeting, because that gives her a chance to go back and speak to the people who send their applications in, because not everybody comes to the meeting. So we offer it to them, but they don't all come. So if you have specific questions, Amy will ask you to let her know, and then she'll hunt them down and get the answers for you. Go ahead.
Oh, my turn?
Sure.
Well, I'm not gonna go over the application. You guys can look at it and ask Nancy or me. And then the budget, is a formula that, all of your expenses will add up. And, all of your income and all of your expenses, and then you'll see whether you're, positive or negative. And as Mandy was saying, they have to have some skin in the game, so we require 25% match. But that can also be done in personnel. If you're paying your utility bills, that can count. It doesn't mean that you have to necessarily write the check, but we've got other expenses. And so that will be, in the first column and the other column. And so with the application, you can see it's the organization and the project. Should be, I guess I should change it to program and service. And they submit this, and so okay, you'll have it. So these categories aren't the only eligible categories. They're examples, but other people might have different ones, but as long as they're eligible. Nancy and I, well, you have two. You've seen people submit for ineligible expenses, and then I have to call them up and say, you can't submit for a party. If your program is a cooking class, then yes, if you want to put on
Food supplies or something.
right, food supplies and feed people with what you've made, if it was part of the program. But if you have an art program, an after-school program, snacks are one thing, but we've gotten bills for that, and I've had to say no. I had somebody willing to buy them a desk chair. It's like, no. So anyway, so we go through and make sure the expenses are eligible, and we have to work with them, and because we want to give you money. That's our goal, and get it out the door.
So the requirement is that it's maximum 15%, but we don't have to.
Right, we could give zero, right, I mean, the mayor could just, he's now putting, the capital improvement money into parks and infrastructure. He could give it all, he doesn't have to give anything, but the maximum is 15%.
Because it just seems like that's where some of the biggest issues are, is in that 15%.
Well, I will show you when we get to one of these spreadsheets up. The activities actually do pretty well with spending their money, it's the projects. So,
But the expenses listed here, these are all eligible expenses.
these are all eligible expenses, right? If someone wants to buy a car now. Which one's the better one? I guess it doesn't matter, we'll go to the next smaller, what is this, 11 by 14. So Mandy was saying, that you get the applications, you know, you do not see anything that is deemed ineligible by, by health. No, Mandy and I will make a decision. I was telling Sarah Passy, Mandy and I had a, did you give them you didn't give the matrix code yet, did you?
No,
Oh,
I'm gonna
Becky,
photocopy and send it back.
but the matrix code, and this is what HUD says, like 03J is infrastructure, 05H is youth services or whatever. And so, as you can see, that first-hand column down, you see 058, 05L. If we can come up with a matrix code, that means it's not eligible. So everything has to have some code with HUD. And so what happens is, at this is the February meeting, we put it on, we put this up on the screen, and from my computer, what we'll do is we'll put this in, and you guys will figure out how you want to allocate, from what they've requested to your proposed allocations. And so this is from, I don't even know what year this is. I think this is 2022.
I think that was
No, 2023. And so this is what happened with 2023.
Can I interject? just for
Sure.
1 second here? Just so you know, you're not gonna come to this table, maybe not this table, but a table, and have to decide how much is gonna be spent that night. Everybody gets the applications. You're gonna be looking at the applications to see what they do a good job of weeding them out. Every application you get means they're eligible. All right, you don't have to worry about, she's talking about eligibility. Thank God, we don't have to worry about that. We're gonna get the application, they're gonna be very specific what they want, how much they're asking for. So please, when you get them, read them thoroughly, depending on how many we get this year. Sometimes it's very unwieldy, there's so many. Sometimes not so much. But whatever it is, please take the time to read them, and be critical when you're looking at them, don't just take them on face value. There's a lot of duplication. People are asking for things that 10 other people in the community are already doing. So, we kind of look at that. One of the things we like to ask these people, this money is not to run a business, okay? This is, to help out a business. So one of our favorite questions is, if you don't get money from us, are you going to have a business? And sometimes they'll say no, which is really not, and that is not our purpose here, is to fund a business. So that's probably the first question we ask everybody. And, some people will be out up front, and some people, we had somebody withdraw their application because they were going to use this to fund their entire organization. So anyway, so all I'm saying is, it sounds good, we're giving away money, and usually it's a good thing, but, there's going to be times when you're going to have to make a tough call, like, this is probably not a good thing. I don't know if we want to, give money to this and take it away from somebody else. Because ultimately, that's usually what happens. Not everybody's going to get what they want. We don't have that kind of money, so we have to start, bringing the prices down, eliminate some programs get eliminated entirely. We like to at least give everybody something if we can. But, I try not to let that influence what, as I'm reading along, I try not to think about the humanity involved and, somebody being told, you're not going to get anything. So, and it can be very difficult. We've had people on this committee that really can't function like that, and they kind of get frozen. So, you don't have to be a, real hardball, but, we do make some tough decisions, but we usually do it as a group. So give and take, make notes, and what I like for everybody to do is kind of prioritize things. When we get to that point, we got a ways to go, and say, okay, yeah, this one definitely, this one, and maybe this one definitely not. And when we get to the table, sometimes we'll agree right away on several that no funding at all, or they gotta get it all. We want to give it all. So anyway, it's a very a great deal of teamwork goes involved in this. Everybody's been good. Nobody gets their feelings hurt so far. Nobody digs in their feet because I want this and oh, I'm gonna have this. Everybody's very good about this. So I don't see this year will be any different. But anyway, so if we do our homework, when we get to that point, hopefully it will flow smoothly.
I just want to piggyback on that real quick. It's understandable that when somebody comes in, they ask for, a certain amount of money, that you might not be able to give all of it to them. But what you have to keep in mind is, for the most part, if somebody comes to you and says, I need 30,000 to run the program, don't offer them 2,500 because they can't run the program.
Right.
And then they can't spend the money. So that's just, I understand that you have to cut them, but HUD also says, you can't pick and choose like, oh, well, we're gonna fund your pencils, but we're not gonna fund this. So instead of giving you 30,000, we're gonna give you 2,500 and you can, go for a picnic someplace. You can't do that.
And also, what the two of you were saying, I'd like to piggyback onto that, is sometimes you have to really scrutinize and hope that the program will run. We've had some issues, and that money that you allotted to somebody who now they can't spend it, that Mandy has to re-allot it, but sadly, somebody else who could have used that money, for their program didn't have access to it because somebody else didn't do what they said that they could. Which brings me to the hugest sheet. And this is 2022. I didn't give you 2023 because we're still in 2023, and so people haven't spent their money. But what we do is a tracking spreadsheet. ERRs, the environmental review, and you don't. You want to care about the dates, date agreement, and then I make sure that I have all the insurances because nobody can be awarded, receive any funding unless they, provide us insurance certificates. But I did want to give you, I did want you to take a glance at the last three columns, the award, whether or not they were reimbursed, and the balance remaining. As you can see, I'm a pain in the neck. It's pretty good. I make sure those activities, and I start to harass them. This year I started early. I usually wait till the end of May, saying June 30th, everything has to be spent. This year I started early May. I don't know why. Kind of slow day, I guess. And so I said, your deadline is, and now the contract reads, the agreement reads that they have, you cannot spend any money past June 30th. And everything has to be submitted to us by August 31. You give them 60 days in case, your payroll is 2 weeks, mid-July, then you get your statement end of July. So if you don't submit by then, but we were asking, and also if you're not going to be able, if you need an extension, you need to ask prior to the end of the fiscal year and give us an explanation and a target date. IDIS, which is the software that HUD uses, we get red flagged and Mandy has to tell them they will spend the money, they're not going to spend the money, they'll spend it by this date. You have to tell us. And so we've had people say, oh, can we have an extension? Well, okay, but why? Did you not spend the money? What happened? And when will you?
And is there a time limit for an extension if somebody says we have some things happen in our
that's a little
organization?
subjective. We like to try, like on these, as you can see, I'm sorry, Anthony, but Children's Home and A.J. Williams Myers, they were small awards, but, they ran into some issues. And they couldn't. And so if it was a large award, then maybe.
Well, we can give them an extension, but also an IDIS. They might give me a date that's a shorter time frame than what we say we can do, and they have to have it done by then.
Got it.
Or they'll get the money. I can't.
So, Mandy and I, you'll see 180 days, no activity, 270 days, no activity.
Right.
And HUD knows that you haven't drawn down on that particular activity.
Sure they do, yeah.
So, this is how I keep track, and I like very
Uh-huh.
Because of the color.
Me too.
Yeah, very nice.
So when they submit for reimbursement, do they also submit like documentation that they fulfilled what they
Yeah,
said?
if the client data sheet, I was gonna bring that probably later on, like in a January or February meeting. But yes, it's a client data sheet, and so on that, it's a narrative describing what they've done and accomplished, and demographics of whom they've served.
And Amy likes surprise visits. To pop in to make sure that they're actually doing what they said.
Yeah, I'll do mine. You did that
Good for
you. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised.
They were doing it?
Yeah, and it
They
did
did.
really well. I was a little like, oh, but I was great. I was really, really happy with what I saw. So yeah, we monitor, and the demographics are income and ethnicity.
Okay.
And it has to be submitted, like if you submit quarterly, we get one of those, the client data sheet quarterly. We will not reimburse without current insurance and client data sheet. And so now we need to go into reimbursement, but copies of canceled checks, receipts, so.
So I have a question. Yes, I work within the nonprofit community here in Kingston. And if I have, I'm on the board of one nonprofit here in Kingston. I don't know if they're going to apply or not, but if they do apply, should clearly I would recuse myself. But is that acceptable? I don't need to go off the committee entirely. I can just recuse myself from the application if it turns out that they do apply? Okay.
I do have a question. So if we got like 700K, like 700,000, but we only use 500K, right? The extra 200K, is that money going back to the federal government?
No,
Or would that-
Mandy and the mayor would look to see, like, it depends upon where the 200,000 came from. If it came from, say, infrastructure, capital improvements, you cannot give it to programs, because programs is already capped out at 15%. We can't reallocate to the programs. So that money would then have to be, reallocated to the city project or, housing or whatever's in the 5-year consolidated plan that Andy was talking about.
Mhm.
So no, we don't lose it,
Got it.
But we just strongly encourage you to spend it,
Right.
because.
We haven't lost it yet, but, no, but with
That's right.
timeliness, what they do is, and like I said, they have a new, director of HUD. So,
It's regional.
yeah. So, she may decide to do a desk audit herself, or we're already 2 years, we missed timeliness. We're going for 3, so what could they do? Yeah, we have to spend $670,000 before May 1st.
How much, 650?
680.
Before May 1st of 2024.
Right.
Oh,
So it's based on we're not supposed to have more than 1.5 times our annual allocation at any one time in the treasury.
But what they could do is sanction you, so they could say, okay, this is how much you're over, 750,000 for the next 3 years. Your allocation is gonna be less than that.
Interesting.
And we could lose it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
I mean, we do try to be like, hey, we're really working on this,
Mhm.
but, that's why I always say to some recipients, if you don't make time on this, we're not gonna make time on this.
So really, you have to put a word in with the city of Kingston.
We do.
They seem to be
Mhm.
screwing some stuff up.
On a monthly basis, I send out emails, hey, what's up here?
That's funny.
Yep.
Thank you for this overview. This is great. All of you.
I mean, any given time you have questions, just ask.
No other questions? You don't want to look at the application, do you?
I did look over the application because I found it online. And So basically, all the eligible activities are here, and then the project should meet the HUD codes. I saw they said, they have their priorities, they have a couple of priorities, and I've lost the detail now, but yes.
And also, I just want to say, going through this process is coinciding with, like I said, the 5-year comp plan. So we're going to find out what the city's goals and objectives are as well, not just what HUD says you should
Oh,
do.
okay,
We're gonna listen to what's going on, and so right now, housing was supposed to be one of them,
one of HUD's goals.
one of ours.
Oh, one of the cities too, okay.
So, I mean, they have a handful, that we have 3 that we were really trying to concentrate on, which was the public infrastructure, it was housing, and then it was programs,
Right.
services.
Okay,
So the housing part, rehab hasn't worked out well for us.
I see,
So we moved into the first-time homebuyers program,
okay,
which allows up to $50,000 per family or applicant, to be able to use that towards either buying a house or paying down the principal. I haven't done too much of that one yet, but,
What about the land bank? Or the housing trust, whatever.
we can't partner with the land bank. They're an arm of the city.
oh, I see.
And what happens is they're getting the surplus properties for people who haven't paid taxes,
Right.
so kind of can't.
Pay yourself?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, how is it any
Well, the
different
land
paying
bank-
for an infrastructure project versus?
The land bank doesn't necessarily, see, and it has to be for the people in the city of Kingston,
Right.
residents, and the land bank doesn't necessarily, they don't have the same restrictions and guidelines that we do or that HUD requires.
Okay.
I tried to work with Mike on it, he's like, it just isn't gonna work out.
Okay.
Oh,
That's too bad.
Because I figured Mike could probably help me, but
No. And it's always it's not
It's very-
easy
very
program
restrictive.
to work with.
yeah.
Owners, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like they don't want you to spend the money.
they're very clear about housing is the biggest problem, so.
Right.
So the, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and who are the consultants that you're working with on the 5-year plan?
Mullins and Lonergan, they're from Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay,
They're the, I was kind of hoping it was gonna be them because I've spoken with other municipalities who have used them,
okay,
so they had sent them.
And they had good recommendations.
Yeah,
oh, good,
and they had a good recommendation from HUD too,
oh, okay,
because of the work that they've done with the other municipalities.
good to hear.
So there's 9 exhibits for the application. All 9 must be submitted no later than noon, December 4th. And so I always beg people to get it to me early because if we're missing something or something is incorrect or unclear, you have time. It is amazing. I get these at like 2 minutes of 12 and they're missing the budget.
Right.
You know, or they didn't submit an exhibit and then they're DQ'd. And it breaks my heart when they don't give, us what we need. So as you spread the word, please get your application in early. And you can look through the exhibits and I should put my phone, you have my phone number.
We can find you.
Yeah,
There you go.
In case it's a small town, very easy.
And this application is not gonna change because of any recommendations that come out of the 5-year
You
plan.
know, the application is pretty much the same every year.
Mhm.
Because we ask for the same information. The only difference would be, during our process of the 5-year comp plan, they may take a different approach on what their goals mean, city, what the goals.
What the city's goals are.
They may say for the next 5 years, we're only gonna do infrastructure.
I see, but then will the organizations who submitted program funds still be eligible for those because it's within the fiscal year 2024,
Well,
25?
that's something that everybody's gonna have to discuss as the 5-year
Oh, interesting, okay,
plan is being
That's good to know.
developed.
Right, okay.
I mean, I can't.
Because you hate to have people go through the work of submitting the program and then all of a sudden it's
Yeah, I
decided.
mean, I guess it's going that way, but again, for years, we used to do, like the Boys and Girls Club, I'm just using them for an example. They needed a roof, we helped them with the roofs, that was a, public facility. We don't do public facilities anymore, we
Got
do the city's public facilities, which would be like the community centers, or the parks and rec, outside, inside.
We cannot do government though, so we can do parks, we could do community center, but we couldn't put any money in
On your own
hall
building.
or the offices at the, parks and rec.
Parks and rec, fire department, police department, because government offices are run out of there. You can't do anything to those. You can't,
Okay.
you can't put money.
You can't put money into it from park. Yeah. Very informative.
Anybody got any questions about anything related to this?
Now, as far as meetings going forward, do you usually meet on Monday nights?
Usually the fourth Tuesday.
Oh, the fourth Tuesday.
But, so my next question is, because you're the head of the community development, is 7 o'clock, like it got changed to 7 because Tony couldn't come until 7.
6:30.
Or 6, it got changed to 6:30 because Tony couldn't come here until 6:30.
It was 6, wasn't it?
Before Tony changed it, it was 6 o'clock.
Right.
Then it got changed to 6:30. I'm just looking to find out what works best for everybody, because I don't like showing up for a meeting and other people don't show up because
So, do you have a preference? What is your preference?
I would prefer 6, but
6? I mean, earlier is better for me. I'd rather get here.
how far do you want to push it when you guys get out of work?
I would say 6 is probably it, because usually I have things I'm doing that go in prior to, to like 5 or 5:30, so I can get here at 6.
Because I have to work outside of here, so,
Okay. How does everybody else, any problems with that?
Under the best circumstances, I'm normally out of my office at 5 o'clock and would love to be at 6 o'clock.
Under the best circumstances.
Well, certain times of
Certain
the
times
year,
of year, like say in November.
say, like during the most important timeline here, but it's fine.
Okay,
So 6
I'm not sure how I changed the meeting. I'm sure I'll just,
well, we can send out an email and just say, this is what we're thinking, and just
Get it.
see what everybody else is, get a consensus.
I'm sure tell you,
I'd love
just
6
to
o'clock.
Lisa, right?
Yeah, I'd take 5.
Lisa would
I get out of work.
handle that, I would think.
We can check,
But nobody can do that.
Okay.
but otherwise I'm.
You want me to take care of it for you?
It's up to you.
Doesn't matter.
Sorry, Amy.
Start-
Why don't you do it?
Okay.
So you get to have dinner before the meeting.
Somehow, thankfully somebody brought it to
Or
me.
you can say with my blessing,
Okay, thank you. I will.
or you can even say I initiated it if you want.
Well,
You two
I
will
think
tell
we're being
otherwise.
recorded right
Yeah, I
now,
don't think
so
that
I'll-
You're not
Everyone heard you.
Yeah.
No, it's just, if 6 works for everybody else. Otherwise, I'm twiddling my thumbs because I'm here at 6:30 in the morning and I don't leave until this meeting's over.
No, I'd rather get
6
here
is
and
good.
get out of here.
Yeah, 6.
6
All right, so you just have
Great.
to get the other, board members.
How does that work for you?
I can make it happen. Yep. Appreciate you.
Good deal. All right.
I did have a question though for Amy. So when you had asked any questions, well, 2 questions. Number 1, I see that all the funds for the AJ Williams Library were reallocated, right? Does that hurt us going forward?
No.
Okay.
But we will need your assurances. We did get an explanation
Okay.
about the executive director and that things are in a bit of turmoil.
Right.
So,
Okay.
fingers crossed.
Got it.
Did you want to do the same program?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm still.
It's still new.
There you go. Right. And coming into, well, I'm not gonna get into the nuances, but y'all should be aware, just as it relates to coming on board to a ship that's already floating, right, you need to be careful.
Yeah.
Right. Particularly when you're talking about volunteers and stuff like that, you don't wanna push people out. Right, so you gotta be very careful. So that's where I'm at right now, all right? I like to ask this question. A lot of times I think that is a good question, but I don't know how everybody takes it. Do you think, is there anything that comes to your mind, because you are in this space, right, that I should be asking right now?
No, a lot of people ask, but it's a funny question, like, how much should I ask for? It's like, well, whatever you need.
Got it, okay.
You know, I would recommend that you think about a program that you can do. you know, that would be easily implemented and executed.
Got it.
And are there limits, in other words, the grants, like, are there average grants that go from like
No, you can
5,000
see-
to 30,000, or, I know, I
you
can see here, yeah, they vary.
If
So you
it
could
varies.
technically spend the entire 15% on one project.
Yeah, we've had people pretty much ask. They don't have ever gotten. it,
Years
but
ago,
it's
we used to
amazing.
get a lot of money and we were giving $50,000 to this one, $50,000 to that one.
Wow,
Because our 15% was so much.
Got it.
wow.
And now it's dwindled so
Yeah.
much.
So it's about 97.5 that we have.
But if I were you,
No,
I think the
it
question
doesn't
I would
work.
ask, when you come up with something in your mind that you want to do as your program,
Mhm.
I think what I would do is reach out and say, hey, has this been done before? And is anybody doing it now? Because if somebody's doing it now and they're getting the money for it, you may or may not.
Got
Or you might want to collaborate with them. I mean, it's just,
it. Understood.
And also, you know, like, let's suppose you've come up with a program, you might want to call Mandy or me to develop the budget, like what expenses, these are the expenses that the program will need.
Mhm.
How would you recommend, I develop the budget? And also, we've had people apply for 2 programs.
Okay.
Well, hedge your bets.
Got it.
and
And you're probably not gonna get both.
Probably not,
But-
I mean,
They
it's
have
happened,
in the
but,
past.
if you
Okay,
get
that's
2,
when there was more money.
they got, we had one that every year would get for 3 different programs.
That was when you had more money? Yeah.
But,
I
I would say
Wow.
there's a lot of youth programs,
Okay.
so there's very little for during the day for seniors.
And that's one thing I was thinking, I'm sorry. Okay, gotcha.
No.
Yeah, yeah. So that's definitely a demographic that's on my mind. I love my elders.
32 since I am one.
I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, we're all trying.
And we have had organizations, and their request has been like 50% of what we have to give away. Yeah, but they don't know that,
Gotcha.
you know, so,
Okay.
well, certainly we have to pay that, we're not gonna give somebody 50%.
Right.
You're gonna, make it very difficult for everybody else.
Right. Gotcha.
I'd be open to it if it was a program that was worthwhile. I mean, I would keep my mind open to like larger projects, because it's so much having all these small little grants. I mean, it's a lot of work to chase all these groups down for $6,000, as opposed to like finding a really incredible program for 60,000.
And since I work with a lot of small nonprofits, $6,000 is a whole lot of money for some little organizations.
Right. Yeah. So,
That's the difficulty, making the decisions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that we automatically say no to somebody who asks for that much, but, we certainly look at it, a little more,
Well, yeah, of course, because it's such a huge amount. I'm just thinking that, now that the money is so small, like what can you really, I guess we'll see what kind of applications we get.
Yeah,
try to make it go far.
right. And where will it have the most impact?
Right.
Yeah, 'cause sometimes
Right,
a little
as you
amount
said,
has a lot of impact.
I mean, look at the ones who just ask for, they only ask for a few thousand.
yeah, there's a lot of them on here that, they're really small, they're only asking for several $1,000s. Everybody doesn't come in asking for $50,000.
Right.
Anybody else?
I'm good.
Okay, well, I think we made it through. Is there any old business here that we need to take up?
Nope, I already talked about the fact that we have a new consultant that we hired,
Right,
bi-weekly meetings with them. Eventually, you guys will get in touch with them. We already went through our substantial amendment with reallocation, and that's what we gave to the sewers project.
Okay.
So now you guys won't have to, hopefully you don't have to buy. Because at the end of the day, we gave them 1.5
1.5
million.
million.
okay. right, anybody else for the good of the order? And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Motion. Anybody got a second? All in favor?
All right.
We are so adjourned.